Evelina Antonetti was born on September 19, 1922, in El Barrio Güelles in Salinas, Puerto Rico. She was the eldest daughter of Evangelina Cruz, a single mother. Evelina, her mother Eva, and her sister Lillian later moved from Salinas to the barrio of San Antón, the first settlement of what would become Puerto Rico's second city, Ponce. The familial small barrio atmosphere of San Antón had a lasting impact on Evelina and introduced her to the world of politics. A young, curious, and inquisitive child, she avidly listened to local Ponce politicians and businessmen speak about their affairs. She overheard pleneros speak about politics, labor unrest, town gossip, and more. Evelina took it all in as an attentive observer and a participant immersing herself in the midst of a flowering Afro-Puerto Rican culture. It was precisely that atmosphere that prevailed in the New York neighborhoods and institutions where Evelina would later live and work. At the height of the Great Depression in 1929, with the sugar industry collapse and the brutal impact on the economy of Puerto Rico, Evelina's mother sent an 11-year-old Evelina on a 5-day voyage by water to live with her Aunt Vicenta and her husband Enrique in Spanish Harlem, El Barrio, New York City's first major community of the Puerto Rican diaspora.
My grandmother's sister, Doña Vicenta, had come here in 1931, and in order to help the family in Puerto Rico, she brought my mother over first. And so this way, my grandmother would only have 2 other daughters to take care of and not 3.
While adjusting to a new environment was far from easy for Evelina, she eventually became inspired by her Tia Vicenta's involvement in the social and political life of El Barrio. Where other immigrants might have faltered under the duress of change and culture shock, Evelina found strength. In short, she blossomed under the care of her activist aunt.
2 years later, my aunt broke an arm, and it became a case in court, and she got $300 for breaking an arm. And she used that money to send for my mother and my other 2 sisters.
Really?
That's how they came. And of course, I was in heaven. I had my family again.
Evelina and her sisters became known famously as the 3 Sisters, each making indelible contributions to the life of New York. Evelina as parents' rights activist, Lillian as a literacy advocate and groundbreaking librarian, and Elva as an arts advocate who came to be known as La Madrina de las Artes, godmother of the arts.
We all lived together, and those memories for me, are right here. And it keeps me centered.
Evelina quickly assumed the role of family provisioner, learning how to navigate the complexities of New Deal bureaucracies. She put her knowledge and skills to the service of a growing network of friends and neighbors. Just as important, Evelina learned English in short order, thus assuming the role of neighborhood interpreter and arbiter.
Even though during the time that my children were too little for me to go to work, I was still active within the community with the tenants, and was being the one who filled out the income tax and who went to welfare people, who wrote letters for people, or who people would just think of talking to.
Evelina Antonetti lived through perhaps the most pivotal period in Puerto Rican history, often acting as one of the principal movers and agents of change in her time. She became a force to be reckoned with, one of the most effective and impactful leaders of the Puerto Rican diaspora of the 20th century. Evelina answered to many different names. To the members of her household and family, whether blood-related or adopted, she was Titi. To her devoted staff, she was Mrs. A. To the Puerto Rican community, she was the mother of the Bronx. To her children, she was appropriately just Ma. And to one member of the New York Police Department brass, she was the Hell Lady of the Bronx.
If no one else wants to fight, we'll fight. And I'm sure that I could get all the women in the Bronx to go out there and fight.
In the 40s, Evelina moved across the Harlem River to the South Bronx. After the war, the South Bronx would become the second great Puerto Rican community of New York City, which offered good, affordable housing. The early 50s saw her become a labor leader, honing her skills as an organizer and developing an informal but highly effective approach to activism, crafting a style and persona, an aura uniquely hers. In the 60s, Evelina developed close relations with Martin Luther King Jr. and other leaders of the civil rights movements, establishing important links between Puerto Rican and African American communities. Evelina started her public life as a union organizer and aide to progressive elected officials. She was also the principal force behind the founding of the first fully bilingual school in the nation. Then, as a mother, she immersed herself in parental oversight of schools, and later on, along with her daughter, Lorraine Montenegro, Evelina founded United Bronx Parents. Together, Evelina and Lorraine would lead with love, solidarity, and strong advocacy for the people of their beloved Bronx.
Giving us less and less each year. And the only ones fighting you has been South Bronx.
Don't take away from us because too much has been taken away from us as it is.
In the 70s, Evelina witnessed a great crisis threatening the American inner city, especially the South Bronx. She became a national voice for urban America, the conscience of urban America. From the saving and stabilization of Hostos Community College, CUNY from 1973 to 1978, to Evelina's front and center stand in the controversy surrounding the filming and release of the film Fort Apache, the Bronx in 1980, to Evelina's support of the staff in the Puerto Rican Legal Defense and Education Fund dispute in 1982, Evelina took to the ramparts in each of these struggles, expressing solidarity with participants and advising activists. She would appear at protests carrying shopping bags full of food for the protesters. Evelina spearheaded the first Head Start grant in New York State, providing early childhood education and nutrition services to low-income children. To this day, Head Start is one of the most effective federal programs, thanks in no small part to agencies like United Bronx Parents that early on proved its efficacy. United Bronx Parents also established one of the largest and most effective child care centers in New York City. It expanded its now famous workshops to include one for gang members who were legions in the South Bronx. Others address health issues and how to procure family health services. These were remarkable achievements, a victory for inner city America, and an example to similar efforts of the efficacy of a clear vision, strategies of empowerment, and good community organizing.
I think she was born with her knowledge of people and what had to be done. I really do.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can learn that. I think it has to come within you.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be something that your passion.
Definitely.
And she had the passion for people.
Y yo, como siempre he tenido dos doctorados, el que cogí en la escuela y el que cogí en la comunidad, que se llama Poverty, Hunger and Determination, pobreza, determinación y hambre. Ese es el PhD más famoso que hay porque ese es el que tenemos todos nosotros. Y ese es el que podemos usar porque nosotros sí sabemos las necesidades de nuestra gente. Y eso es lo principal, saber la necesidad que tiene un pueblo.
In 1984, Evelina Antonetti, no doubt overworked and shouldering immense amounts of stress, suffered a cardiac arrest and passed away at only 62 years old. Her daughter, Lorraine Montenegro, continued her mother's legacy until her retirement. Lorraine tragically passed away a week after Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico on October 1st, 2017, at age 74. Today, the legacy of Evelina Antonetti lives on as scholars, friends, family members, and those she mentored gathered to celebrate her centennial some 40 years after her untimely passing. May Evelina's voice echo in the voices of activists in the South Bronx. May her footprints, etched into the street signs and playgrounds, guide the community. May her memory greet the future, and may her legacy rekindle the fires she set in her time, inspiring young people to continue her work. Evelina lives.